Hi, you're watching the Culinary Cam YouTube channel, and I'm going to show you how I make easy homemade chicken gravy. All you need is a fat, and in this case I'm going to be using the drippings from the roasted chicken. You can use olive oil, you can use butter, or you can use a combination of those. You need a thickener. You can use either flour or cornstarch, and then you need your liquid, whatever you're going to make the gravy out of. And in this case, I'm going to use some of the drippings, which is both the fat and the liquid, and I'm going to augment with this organic chicken cooking broth from Kettle Fire. I will drop a link to this super great tasty product. I love that it's clean, there's very little added sugar, no added salt, and it is organic. And that is it. You can add some seasonings. I like to add some fresh herbs, and I do add a splash of cream for the creaminess, but otherwise super simple. Let's go to the stove. So I have pulled my roasted chicken out of the oven. I strained out the cooking juices and fat from the bottom of the pan, and I'm going to use those pan drippings to make an easy homemade gravy. Okay, so I have 1/3 a cup of the pan drippings in the pan heating up, and you just use the same amount of fat and thickener. So I'm going to add in 1/3 of the cup of flour, and then you just need a whisk. You're going to whisk that flour into that fat. And you're going to let that cook for just a few minutes. If you use cornstarch, you don't really have to cook that out, but when you use flour, people can say that they taste that flour, so you want to cook that a little bit. It'll start to get a little bit thicker and pasty, and then you're just going to pour in your liquid. And I like to pour and whisk at the same time. You can see that that roux, that's what this is called, the fat and the flour, is bubbling nicely. We are just going to use some Kettle Fire cooking broth. And so then you're going to cook that and let it thicken. And once it has thickened to the consistency that you like, you're just going to add in a splash of cream if you're using that, and then season to taste with the salt and your herbs, and then you're done. I'm just going to watch that, let it thicken up, and whisk it every now and then so it doesn't clump and stick to the bottom. Those pan drippings came from this roasted chicken, my favorite recipe that I make often. Super simple. Stuff the chicken, stick it in the oven, and roast it uncovered for about 1.5 hours. And it ends up beautiful bronzed roasted chicken that we're going to eat with this gravy. When you tilt the pan, you can see that it is starting to thicken at the bottom, so you just want to keep whisking that so that that part doesn't burn and the whole thing gets nice and thickened. So this is a super easy homemade gravy using whatever cooking stock or cooking broth you have to match your protein, which is what I do. So with the roasted chicken, I am using organic chicken cooking broth. If I had a roasted beef of some kind, I would use a beef broth. And if you are a vegetarian, you can do it with vegetable broth. And if you wanted to do even a dessert gravy, I would actually call it more of like a liquidy ganache. You could do this process with milk and stir in chocolate for a really decadent treat. You can see that's thickening up nicely. I'm just going to keep whisking that. So that's going to continue to thicken as it heats. I'm going to add in about a tablespoon, maybe 2 tablespoons of the cream, and whisk that in. And then I'm going to add in a pinch of salt. For this, I'm using the Big Sur Sea Salt's Tung Fu salt. I love it. It has a nice kick of heat and spice. It's passion fruit, wild salt, toasted coconut, bird's eye chili, lemongrass, lime, and it's organic and local. And then I'm just going to stir in the herbs. A little bit more?
Maybe a little more.
See, this is why I have a taste tester. So you can see that texture. Nice and thickened, and the longer you cook it, the thicker it's going to get. It'll also thicken as it cools. Okay, I got the thumbs up. So we're going to turn the heat off and get ready to serve our roasted chicken. We have our roasted chicken, we have our homemade gravy, we are almost ready to serve dinner. But I did want to show you one thing. So this is the pan, the pot that I roasted this chicken in. It still has all of those delicious veggies that I put at the bottom of the pan, and the aromatics, the garlic. So what I'm going to do, I leave this just like this. Once we're done eating the chicken, and I've plucked off some meat in order to use that for chicken salad tomorrow for lunches. I put the carcass in here and I bring it to a boil and I simmer it for about 72 hours to create my own bone broth. So nothing goes to waste, and it provides about 3 different meals. So this is the roasted chicken. We're gonna have that tonight for dinner with the gravy. Then I'm gonna pluck off some of that meat, shred it up, and use it in a chicken salad for lunch. Then the carcass goes into that pot again and simmered to make another broth, which I use in homemade soups and in risotto. So we're just gonna carve this up for tonight until it's nice and done. You can just pull that drumstick and the thigh off of the chicken. Okay, that's just gonna be the drumstick. And then for this, there's that breastbone down the center. You're just gonna go down on one side of that. Try and cut all the way through on that breast. Nice and juicy and tender. Okay, there we have our roasted chicken, our homemade gravy, and we're ready for dinner. If you like this video, please click like and definitely hit that notification and subscribe bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos.